Okay, so a couple of uh, rocket reports, if you will. Um, Last week, the Indian Space Agency launched a homegrown rocket, if you will. This is entirely built in India. And what is interesting about this mission is it was carrying 104 microsatellites, or picosatellites you call them. Each one of these is about the size of a shoebox, and they're providing them, or being provided by several research agencies and some commercial entities. And so this was a way to get lots of them up at a single time. So here's a
Cartosat 2 series spacecraft injected into orbit.
the rocket. First of all,
Two
there was
ISRO
a
nanosatellites, INS-1A and 1B,
satellite, which was the
are injected
large
into
payload.
orbit.
But then over the course of about 10 minutes,
The separation of nanosatellites can be viewed from both sides, one after another.
here you'll see a whole cluster of them ejected. So I guess we don't have to watch all of them, or you get the idea. Okay, and so closer to home, this last Sunday, a commercial launch to the International Space Station took place from Florida. This is the 10th commercial mission of this Dragon capsule. This is built by the SpaceX Corporation, and you probably heard of Elon Musk. He's the fellow that also heads up Tesla Motors. And so this mission launched carrying about 2,500 kilograms of supplies to the space station. And what is sort of unique about this, or historic about this mission, is SpaceX has obtained a 20-year lease from NASA to use one of the two launch pads that were used for the Apollo missions to the moon and for about half of the space shuttle flights. And so this is the first non-government launch from Launch Pad 39A. And so here's the Falcon 9 rocket. If you look back at any pictures of space shuttles taking off, this was a very familiar sight. And over the course of the next year or so, this whole part of the structure is going to be removed. That was used for loading payloads into the payload bay of the space shuttle. But anyway, there's the launch Sunday morning. And what was very interesting about this one as well is they ended up recovering the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket about 7 or 8 miles south of this launch pad. They landed back at Cape Canaveral. And here's a drone view of the rocket coming in, unfolds landing legs, and lands on a concrete pad. And the idea is that they can refurbish these stages and refly them. And so far that hasn't happened. This is the 8th successful landing of one of these, but sometime in March, the date is still a little up in the air, they're going to refly the first one of these with a communication satellite on board. And this is just some individual still images of this guy coming in. Here's where they pop out the landing legs. And anyway, so that was very successful. Early this morning, the Dragon was scheduled to be docked to the International Space Station. So it does an automatic approach to the station. It gets within about 10 meters of the station. It stops, and then one of the crew members reaches out with the Canada arm and snags it, and brings it in and docks it to the ISS. And this is what should have happened. But in fact, what did happen is when the spacecraft closed within about 700 meters of the ISS, they got some inconsistent information from the GPS satellite system. And so the spacecraft automatically aborted its approach to the ISS. It moved off and did a big circle around the ISS. And they're expecting to do another attempt tomorrow morning, assuming they can figure out what caused the bad data from the GPS. But if not, they can hang out in orbit for weeks if necessary to figure this out. The main loss, if they can't dock within the next day, is there's a couple of dozen mice on board that were going to be used on the ISS in various experiments, and they sort of have a limited lifetime just in the spacecraft itself. So hopefully they will be able to complete the mission tomorrow.